It is 11:30 at night. You are lying in bed, eyes wide open, staring at the ceiling. Your body is exhausted. You can feel it in your legs, in your shoulders, behind your eyes. But your mind simply will not switch off. You shift onto one side, then the other. You check your phone, you know you shouldn't, but you do it anyway. And somewhere in the back of your mind, there is this low hum of worry. About your health. About those numbers your doctor mentioned at your last visit. Your fasting blood sugar is a little high. Not full diabetes, they said, but higher than it should be? Pre-diabetic, maybe. Or just trending in the wrong direction. And here you are at nearly midnight, unable to sleep, wondering what you are supposed to do about it. If that feels familiar, I want you to stay with me for the next few minutes. Because what I am about to share with you is not a miracle cure. It is not a supplement someone paid me to mention. It is real, science-backed information about 3 specific drinks you can make tonight, right in your own kitchen, in under 2 minutes, that work while you sleep to help calm your blood sugar and genuinely improve the quality of your rest. And here is the part most people have never been told. These 2 problems, poor sleep and high blood sugar, are not separate issues. They are feeding each other, every single night. And if you have only been treating one of them, you have been fighting with one hand tied behind. You're back! My name is Dr. Sarah Monroe. I spent over 12 years working in internal medicine, and the pattern I kept seeing in my patients again and again was this. The ones who slept poorly had the hardest time managing their metabolic health. Their blood sugar was harder to control. Their weight was harder to manage. Their inflammation markers were consistently higher. And when we started addressing their sleep, not just their diet, not just their medication, things began to shift in ways that surprised even me. So today that is exactly what we are going to talk about. The connection your doctor probably has not explained to you, and 3 drinks that work with your body's overnight biology instead of against it. Before we go any further, if this kind of honest, practical health information is something you want more of, please take a moment right now to subscribe to this channel and hit the notification bell. I make these videos so that you have real tools to work with, not fear, not hype, just clarity. And it really does make a difference when you subscribe, because it helps this information reach more people who need it. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening in your body at night, because this is where most people are completely in the dark, and understanding this changes everything. When you fall asleep, your body is not simply resting. It is running an extraordinary series of repair and regulation processes that require a stable blood sugar to function properly. In the early hours of sleep, your body moves through deep, slow-wave sleep stages. This is when growth hormone is released, when cellular repair happens, when your brain consolidates memories and clears metabolic waste. All of this requires your blood glucose to be in a calm, steady range. Not spiking, not crashing. Steady. But here's where the problem begins for millions of people. If your blood sugar is running high in the evening, from what you ate at dinner, from stress hormones that stayed elevated all day, from a body that has become less sensitive to insulin over time, your pancreas is still working hard at midnight trying to bring that glucose down. That physiological effort, that low-level metabolic struggle happening inside you while you are trying to sleep, disrupts your sleep architecture. You may not even know it is happening. You just know that you wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning for no obvious reason. Or you sleep through the night, but wake up feeling exhausted like you barely slept at all. That is not a coincidence. That is blood sugar instability expressing itself as poor sleep. And then it works the other way too, which is the part that really matters. When you do not sleep well, your body produces more cortisol the next day. Cortisol is your stress hormone, and one of its primary functions is to raise blood glucose to give you the energy to deal with a perceived threat. When cortisol stays elevated because you are sleep deprived, your blood sugar stays elevated. And when your blood sugar stays elevated, your sleep suffers again the following night. This is not a coincidence. This is a biological loop, and it is one that a great many people are trapped in without ever knowing it. A study published in Diabetes Care found that even a single night of poor sleep, just one night, was enough to reduce insulin sensitivity by up to 25% in healthy adults. 25% from one bad night. Now imagine what months or years of disrupted sleep does to your metabolic health, and imagine what is possible when you break that cycle. That is where these 3 drinks come in. Each one works through a specific, real biological pathway. Each one takes under 2 minutes to prepare, and together, they represent something I genuinely wish more people knew about: a simple, affordable, side effect-free way to support your body through the night. Let us start with the first one. The first drink is warm golden milk, and before you dismiss it as something from a wellness blog, I want to walk you through exactly why it works, because the science here is genuinely impressive. Golden milk at its core is warm milk or a plant-based alternative like oat or almond milk, with half a teaspoon of turmeric, a small pinch of black pepper, and optionally a 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. That is it. And each one of those ingredients is doing something specific in your body. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin. Curcumin has been studied extensively for its anti-inflammatory properties, and chronic low-grade inflammation is one of the primary drivers of insulin resistance, the condition where your cells stop responding normally to insulin and your blood sugar stays elevated. A 2019 review published in the journal Nutrients found that curcumin supplementation significantly improved fasting blood glucose and insulin sensitivity in people with metabolic disorders. But here is a detail most people miss: curcumin on its own is poorly absorbed by the body. That pinch of black pepper, which contains a compound called piperini, increases curcumin's bioavailability by up to 2,000%. 2,000! That tiny pinch of black pepper is not optional. It is the key that unlocks the entire benefit. The cinnamon adds another layer. Ceylon cinnamon, specifically, has been shown in multiple studies to improve insulin signaling and slow the absorption of glucose after a meal. A meta-analysis in the Journal of Medicinal Food found that cinnamon consumption was associated with meaningful reductions in fasting blood sugar levels. And when you pair cinnamon with the natural warmth of the milk itself, you get a third benefit. Warmth before bed raises your core body temperature briefly, and as your body then cools back down, that temperature drop is one of the signals your brain uses to initiate sleep. So this drink is simultaneously working on your inflammation, your insulin sensitivity, and your sleep onset, all three at once. Drink it about 30 to 45 minutes before bed. Make it warm, not hot. Use a milk with no added sugar. And use it consistently. These are not overnight miracles, but with regular use, usually within 2 to 3 weeks, many people notice a genuine difference in how they feel in the morning. The second drink is something that has been consumed for thousands of years across dozens of cultures, and there is now a solid body of modern research explaining exactly why it works. It is chamomile tea, and not in the way you might think. Most people know chamomile as a sleep aid. What they do not know is why. Chamomile contains an antioxidant called apigenin, which binds to specific receptors in your brain, the same GABA receptors that are targeted by certain anti-anxiety medications, and produces a mild calming, sedative effect that helps ease a transition into sleep. A randomized controlled trial published in the Journal of Advanced Nursing found that new mothers who drank chamomile tea daily reported significantly better sleep quality and fewer symptoms of depression compared to the control group, and the effect was consistent and measurable. But here is what most chamomile videos leave out, and it is the part that directly addresses your blood sugar. A 2011 study published in the Journal of Agricultural and Food Chemistry found that regular chamomile tea consumption was associated with a significant reduction in blood glucose levels in people with type 2 diabetes. The researchers found that compounds in chamomile appear to inhibit certain enzymes involved in glucose absorption, essentially slowing the rate at which sugar enters your bloodstream. That mechanism, slowing glucose absorption, is actually the same mechanism targeted by certain diabetes medications, and chamomile does it gently, naturally, with zero side effects and about 30 cents a cup. Brew it strong. Use 2 tea bags or a generous tablespoon of dried flowers. Let it steep for 5 to 7 minutes covered, which keeps the volatile oils, including the apigenin, from escaping with the steam. Drink it without added sugar or honey, and drink it 45 minutes to an hour before sleep, which gives the apigenin enough time to begin binding to those receptors before your head hits the pillow. Now before we get to the third drink, which is honestly the most powerful of the three, and the one with the most surprising science behind it, I want to take a moment to say something that I think is important. Everything I am sharing with you in this video is real. It is grounded in published, peer-reviewed research, but it is also not a replacement for working with your doctor. If your blood sugar is elevated, please do not treat YouTube videos as your only intervention. These drinks support a healthy lifestyle. They do not replace medication when medication is needed. They do not replace regular monitoring. What they do is give you something genuinely useful to add starting tonight. That costs almost nothing and has no downside. And in my experience, when patients feel empowered to do something proactive for their health, they do better. They engage more. They make better choices across the board. That is the real value here. If this video is giving you that feeling, that you have something useful you can actually do tonight, please like this video and share it with someone you care about. Because I promise you, there is someone in your life right now who is lying awake at night with blood sugar concerns they do not know how to address. And this information could genuinely help them. The third drink, this is the one that surprises people most, and it has the most direct, specific effect on overnight blood sugar. It is a small glass of diluted apple cider vinegar, taken right before bed. I know. The first reaction is usually skepticism. But stay with me because the research on this one is specific, it is replicated, and it is remarkable. A study published in Diabetes Care One of the most respected journals in metabolic medicine found that taking 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar and water before bed reduced fasting blood glucose levels the following morning by up to 6% in people with type 2 diabetes and prediabetes. 6% from a single evening dose. And that number held consistently across multiple nights. The mechanism is well understood. Apple cider vinegar contains acetic acid, and acetic acid works in two specific ways overnight. First, it slows gastric emptying, the rate at which food leaves your stomach and enters your small intestine. This flattens the absorption curve of any carbohydrates from your dinner, reducing the post-meal glucose spike that can linger into the night. Second, and this is a more powerful mechanism, acetic acid appears to suppress hepatic glucose production, the liver's tendency to release stored glucose into the bloodstream during overnight fasting. In people with insulin resistance, the liver often releases more glucose overnight than it should, which is why many people wake up with higher fasting blood sugar than their evening reading. Apple cider vinegar appears to quiet that nocturnal glucose dump. That is not folk medicine. That is physiology. However, and this is important, apple cider vinegar must be diluted. 1 to 2 tablespoons in at least 8 ounces of water. Never drink it straight. Take it 15 to 20 minutes before bed, after you have already had chamomile if you are using both, and do not brush your teeth immediately afterward. Give it at least 30 minutes. Now, let us bring all three of these together, because the way they work as a system is more powerful than each one alone. Earlier in the evening, around 30 to 45 minutes before bed, you make your golden milk. The curcumin and cinnamon begin addressing the inflammatory and insulin signaling environment in your body. At roughly the same time, you brew your chamomile tea, strong, covered, and you sip it slowly. The apigenin starts working on your nervous system, beginning that calm descent toward sleep. The glucose-slowing compounds begin their work on any remaining carbohydrates from dinner. Then, 15 to 20 minutes before you actually get into bed, you take your diluted apple cider vinegar. This is a final signal to your liver. Quiet down the overnight glucose release. Let the body repair rather than react. And then you sleep, not the fragmented, restless sleep of the body struggling with metabolic instability, but deeper, more restorative sleep, in a body that has been given the right conditions to actually recover. The results do not happen in one night. I want to be honest with you about that. Most people who use this routine consistently report noticeable changes in their morning fasting glucose within 2 to 3 weeks. Sleep improvements often come faster, sometimes within the first week. And the reason is simple: your body adapts quickly to a lower inflammation, lower glucose overnight environment. The longer you maintain it, the more pronounced the benefit. There are a few other things that amplify this routine dramatically, and I would be doing you a disservice if I did not mention them. A 10-minute walk after dinner, not a run, not a gym session, just a gentle walk, activates glucose uptake in your muscles through a pathway that does not even require insulin. Your contracting leg muscles pull glucose out of your bloodstream directly, which means your blood sugar is already lower by the time you sit down for your bedtime drinks. It is one of the most powerful and most underused tools in metabolic health, and it costs nothing. Also, try to stop eating at least 2 hours before bed. When you eat close to sleep, your body is still processing and insulin is still active when your sleep cycle begins, which disrupts sleep architecture. Give your digestion time to settle. Let the drinks do their work on a relatively empty stomach. And if you are someone who wakes up in the middle of the night regularly and cannot explain why, no bathroom emergency, no obvious cause, there is a very real possibility that blood sugar instability is waking you up. A cortisol surge triggered by a minor overnight glucose dip can pull you out of deep sleep at 2 or 3 in the morning. This routine is specifically designed to prevent that. Many people who have struggled with exactly that pattern find that it resolves within a few weeks of consistent use. The 3 drinks again, because I want you to be able to remember these and start tonight. First, warm golden milk with turmeric, black pepper, and Ceylon cinnamon. Second, a strong, covered brew of chamomile tea with no added sugar. Third, 1 to 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar diluted in a full glass of water. All 3 within a 45-minute window before bed. That is the routine. Simple, affordable, real, no expensive supplements, no extreme dietary overhauls, no complicated protocols, just 3 drinks backed by science that work with your body's natural overnight biology to help you sleep more deeply and wake up with calmer blood sugar. I want to hear from you in the comments. Tell me which of these 3 you are going to try first tonight, and if you have already experimented with any of them, share your experience below. Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to read. I read every single comment, and your feedback genuinely shapes the topics I cover next. If this video helped you, please share it with one person in your life who is navigating blood sugar concerns or struggling with sleep. You might be the reason they find something that actually works. And if you have not subscribed yet, this is the moment to do it. This channel is dedicated to giving you honest, clear, evidence-based tools for your health. Not fear, not hype, just the real information you deserve to have. I am Drive. Sarah Monroe. Thank you for being here. Sleep well tonight. You have earned it.